Hello again. This is Mark. Mark Robert Voss is my name, actually. Some of you may know I sort of haunt the Apeirophobia subreddit, hopefully in a good way. And some of you may also know that I'm a psychotherapist and that I had apeirophobia when I was younger. And I just want to make another video and hopefully more of these that might contain something useful for somebody out there. So I'll just try to make a few points. First thing, I want to say that because of the way apeirophobia comes on us, because it's so powerful when we experience it, it can seem as if we need some sort of very powerful solution that's going to fix it all at once. Like maybe we have a change in worldview, or I don't know, we may think we need to get enlightened, or we may think that we need to get a new religion, or we may think that we need to get on the perfect drug or something that's going to knock it out. I think maybe that's possible. That might work for some people. But I think the way that most people are going to get out of it is over time, by gradually taking out pieces of the puzzle that create apeirophobia as something like a Jenga tower. If you know these, I think it's Jenga, right? These towers made up of blocks, many blocks together. And if you can gradually take out some pieces of it, at some point in the future, it'll fall apart. But your job now can just be working on kind of removing some of the things that support the edifice, the structure of this whole thing that ends up causing panic attacks. For me, just a little biographical note, and like most people, it seems that have this, I started having apeirophobic attacks when I was about 8, I guess. 8 years old, I think it was. I had maybe a medium-sized case of it. Like I didn't run screaming and punching walls, but I did run to my parents' bedroom and looked for help. And I was very scared of this. I didn't tell anybody about it. I think I tried to explain it to my parents, but they couldn't really understand it. And I had attacks. It depended. Sometimes they'd come to me and I'd have them for, days and maybe weeks, but then they'd go away and then they'd come back again. And that was what my childhood and teen years were like. This thing would kind of come on me once in a while, and then it would seem to go away for a while, and it would come back. I never found anybody that I could talk to about it. I felt like there must be some answer, but I had some sense that maybe when I got older, I would be able to understand some things differently, so that maybe I could figure it out some way or solve it some way. So in that way, I kind of like kept it at bay. Like I felt like, yeah, it seems totally right and totally true, this experience, but maybe I'm not seeing something. That's kind of how I thought about it. And then when I was 19, I was in college, I started having panic attacks. Maybe you've had panic attacks before, maybe you haven't. Hopefully you haven't. They're not fun. When I had panic attacks, they were like an apeirophobic attack, except I would say in some ways not as powerful metaphysically, because I didn't feel like I discovered some truth that I would never be able to escape. But instead, they just kind of came on spontaneously, and they were very powerful. But it was similar in that my whole body was having a panic. My heart would race. I would lose my breath. I would have to jump up. I would have to get out of the place that I was in sometimes. So it was a kind of a terrifying time for me. And that period lasted about 3 or 4 years when I was having these panic attacks, through most of my college, and then a little bit into graduate school, I would say. It's kind of funny because when I first started having panic attacks, I was in engineering school and I was studying physics, and I continued with that, with physics. I ended up getting a physics undergraduate degree. But the panic attacks just completely changed my life completely, really. It got me interested in psychology and the mind and how we suffer and why we suffer, and all these questions that eventually became what I studied and the work that I did and do. So I became a psychotherapist gradually over time, and I studied Buddhism, and I did a lot of meditation retreats and things like this, all because of these panic attacks that happened to me when I was younger, in my teens. So in a strange way, it's made my life what it is, this really difficult period that I had. And I would say, going back to apeirophobia, back to when I was 8 years old and I was having this wild and powerfully horrifying experience of apeirophobia. But I'm just saying that because it is the case that over time you can get over this. And it's also the case that you can learn some things from this experience that you wouldn't have learned otherwise, and which can have a powerfully positive effect on your life. I just want to say that, and to encourage you to think that there could be some positive reason that you're enduring this very painful experience right now. It is an experience that is very painful, and it's also true that one day you can be over it. I haven't had a apeirophobic panic in something like 35 years or something like that. So you can get over it. And I want to offer just a few things now that might be something like little pieces of this Jenga tower that might take some of the potency out of apeirophobia. And along these lines, if you find anything, it doesn't matter what it is, anything that you find that reduces your stress about apeirophobia a little bit, I want to encourage you to value that, and to not think that it's not good enough, or that it's just a trifle, or it's not as important as some kind of major breakthrough. If you stay with these small things that you discover, and actually if you contemplate them more, the little insights you have, these can lead to bigger insights. At some point, if you have enough of these insights or enough of these experiences, gradually you'll be able to kind of pull out enough blocks so that this whole thing starts to shake and at some point falls over. And you'll find yourself, like me, maybe even trying to get yourself to have an apeirophobic attack, but you just can't do it. Like it's just not believable enough to have one.